Moo! 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 Moo!
Remake.
How many of these fuckers are there?
A lot. Once upon a time. Alright, it's 5 o'clock, bitch. Fast and the Furious.
Ready?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
2, 1, hello. It's us again. Smart. Joe.
Not Joe.
He's playing with. See, look, right there. Oh man, it was
up there. Didn't that just burst your fucking bubble?
All right. Well, we had a
tie.
We had a tie in our fan votes, and we're
here.
We're gonna do Mafia and Vampire.
We'll show you here.
And of course, the top vampire himself will be the one we talk about most likely. What do you? I thought you had all this crap up there.
It's up there. It's in there. See, it's that simple.
You know, what?
Fuck off. See, there's a tie.
What a doorknob, I swear.
How many votes overall?
2.
No, each one got 2, 3. No, it's 10% for each one. So those got 3 votes, 3 votes. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 votes this time. So 10 people voted.
Robert Daly joined.
So you got 10 people that voted this time. There's your result. So you got a tie.
All right.
Vampires and Mafia. It's kind of funny.
We're gonna do Mafia first.
It's kind of funny though how those kind of.
Well, in a way they do, in a way they don't.
Right, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, you can go with the vampires first.
Vampires first or Mafia first?
Vampires first, because I want to talk a little bit about the Mafia thing at the end. And
really?
Yeah. Because we should start out with that little... Well, wait, let's just start out with that little story that I told you, because I think it's kind of funny, and I want to share it.
I don't think anybody wants to understand or know how you wash your balls.
No, fuck you, asshole. You know what I'm talking about when I went to the hospital the other day.
Why would you go to the hospital?
Because I had the heart problem. And
the story where everybody was amazed that he's alive.
Because all those doctors found out.
That's right, because my nickname for you is Twinkie, and it's true.
No, there's some people...
Because Twinkies have a shelf life of 1 million years.
There's some people out there, and yes, I don't give a shit what they think, because... I give a shit because I'd probably kill the bastard if I saw him again. But, you know, there's some people out there that don't realize what somebody like me actually went through. And because I was called a vampire, I think it's kind of funny because I also got blood cancer, because that's what leukemia is, cancer of the blood. So it kind of fits in a little bit. But now, back in '95, because of what I went through what was called total body eradication. They no longer do that these days because they can target it easier.
Yeah, they use proton targeting.
Right, science and everything has gotten much more advanced, right?
Pills.
So when I was diagnosed...
Well, they have pills for limp dicks,
right. Yeah, you use those all the time. You would know those tiny little blue pills you take. Anyway.
Not just blue.
Anyway.
Too.
Well, see, you would know. You're an expert at using them. See, I don't have to use it. I got no problem.
Hey.
Yeah, where's the...
Come on.
Anyway, so I got diagnosed that I wasn't going to live to see Christmas that year, right? Because of things. But they put me through the total body eradication, and because of what I went through, and because of the treatments and the time error it was back in the early mid-90s, that wasn't supposed to...
He kind of sounded like Michael Jackson.
The bone marrow transplant and all of that was only supposed to extend my life 10 years.
What if people don't understand what you're actually talking about? What is total body eradication?
It's where they put you in a room, basically in your underwear, and they flood it with radiation. Like mega amounts of radiation until your skin burns everywhere.
Until it glows in the dark.
Yeah, that could happen. Like, God only knows.
He's kind of like a minion. All we got to do is this, break him, and then shake him, and he'll fucking glow in the dark.
Yeah, like your glow sticks, right? You know, but glow sticks are like some of these stupid people. You just want to snap their fucking neck and shake some sense into them. All right, now, anyway, the doctors were like extremely amazed because people that go through those treatments back then and how aggressive and how bad they were on the body, they don't survive much more than 10 years. I wouldn't. You would have to find some more.
He's like this. You break him and shake him, and he glows in the dark.
Okay, on with the vampire thing. But I just thought it was kind of amazed because
no, it is. It's
doctors.
I had a
cardiologist. Then the nurse was a specialist for she specialized. She was the one that did the specialist for the test, the actual stress part, the chemical stress test.
Vampire.
And then the other doctor was like a radiologist type dude that worked in the X-ray room. Okay, and all three of them, when they looked at my history, they were shocked that here I am still 22 years later and alive and kicking and not in a wheelchair.
They never called you Vampirella?
No. My brother was the only one that called me a vampire.
Vampirella.
Bite me. And the only reason that was because I was a third shift person. I woke up when the sun went down and I went to sleep when the sun came up and I ate my meat. Come on, you love this part. I know he loves this part.
He likes his meat raw, right off the man.
No, fuck you. But it's just like, put it on the grill, flip it once, flip it again, and then put it on my plate. There better be plenty of blood around on there.
So yeah.
So I got
Mr.
called
Vampire.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny because, so many years later I ended up with blood cancer to boot.
Good. There's some weird shit that happens.
All right, let's get on to the vampires, the history.
Now,
come on.
I was looking up some history of the vampire, so I'm on history.com.
Good place to go.
Vampire
for
history. And it says here, vampires are evil mythical beings, or mythological beings, who roam the world at night, searching for people whose blood they feed upon. They may be the best-known classic monsters of all. Most people associate vampires with Count Dracula, the legendary blood-sucking subject of Bram Stoker's epic novel, which was actually a very, very popular novel.
And a very popular movie,
and
too.
They turned it into a movie, and it turned into a very popular movie. Dracula, which was published in 1897.
So this
history
legend goes back even further.
But yes, the legend of the vampire actually goes back a lot further. But the history of vampires began long before Stoker was born. Now, according to this site, vampires the first vampire may be traced to Greek mythology. In the story of a young Italian man named Ambrogio and love of his life, Selena. The story includes many features of mainstream vampire tales such as passion, blood-sucking, and extreme sun sensitivity. Now, according to the myth, Ambrogio fell in love with Selena after visiting the legendary oracle in the temple of Apollo, the sun god. He asked her to marry him, but little did he know the jealous Apollo wanted her for his own. Apollo cursed Ambrogio by causing his skin to burn whenever it was exposed to the sunlight. So that particular legend is about Apollo cursing this young man. And in desperation, Ambrogio turned to Hades. Now Hades, for those who may not know, is another Greek god, and he is the god of the underworld, of hell. He's the overseer of hell. He's the one that has Cerberus.
Right.
So
the three-headed hellhound.
Mm-hmm. The god of the underworld, and then Artemis. Now, Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. For help, after stealing Artemis's silver bow to fulfill a deal made with Hades, Artemis cursed him. This is Ambrogio. So silver would burn his skin.
So there's where you get the silver.
So there's where you get
the
the
silver
Legend of the Silver, but that's kind of dropped off over the years because
it's gone
the
more
silver,
for werewolves.
the silver is more towards the werewolf instead of
Or
the
lichens,
vampire
however
or
you wanna
lichens.
look at it.
Well, yeah. Well, see, when we were kids, it was werewolves. Now it's lichens.
Right.
So, but later she took pity on him and gave him super strength, immortality, and fangs to kill beasts, to use their blood to write love poems to Selena. And then eventually the mortal Selena escaped Apollo's grasp and returned with
Reunited.
reunited with the immortal Ambrosio. Artemis told Ambrosio he could make Selena immortal by drinking her blood, which would kill her body but make her spirit live on. Their combined blood could then turn anyone who drank it into a vampire.
Right.
Hence the ability of a vampire creating fledglings.
Now, seeing how that's taken from Greek mythology and from what I've watched on the History Channel.com, that's the TV channel.
Yeah.
You know, they've talked, and this is going off track a little bit, but a lot of their mythology, as you want to call it or whatever, when it comes to the Greek mythology, is based on some true facts that happened. You know, kind of like Medusa and stuff like that.
Well,
they kind of showed how
they say that in history, all myths have some fact to them.
some
Like
origin.
dragons.
Right.
Where did people believe in dragons? When did they start believing in dragons? You know, stuff like that. And that's kind of funny that I say dragon, because the word Dracula in Hungarian means dragon.
Right. But
So,
you did have,
or
and then
Romania.
right. Now you got to go on. We got
Now
the
we've
most
got
famous
Vlad.
one.
This one's a very famous one.
This is the
Now,
most famous one. Vlad
a lot
the
of people,
Impaler.
a lot of people associate Vlad the Impaler with
Count
Bram
Dracula.
Stoker's Dracula.
That's because it's
And
thought to be that way.
It's thought. No, it says it's thought.
If
Bram
Bram
Stoker
Stoker-
named Count Dracula after Vlad Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler. Vlad Dracula was born in Transylvania, Romania.
Which hence is why Vampires in Transylvania is
Is a connection.
a big connection.
Okay. He ruled Wallachia, Romania, off and on from 1456 to 1462. You want to read it?
No.
Then why are
I'm
you
just
saying
helping
it
you
at
out.
the exact same time I
I
am?
don't
Because
know,
you're
it's
just
funny.
fucking it up. Stop it. I tell you, I'm going to get him some man meat to eat if he doesn't stop it. Some historians describe him as a just yet brutally cruel ruler who valiantly fought off the Ottoman Empire. Now, the Ottomans were the Chinese kind of, Oriental Empire. And I believe that was the one that Genghis Khan actually was the ruler of.
Yeah, that sounds right.
He earned his nickname because his favorite way to kill his enemies was to impale them on a wooden stake. Now what do you do?
Yeah, and then I like that.
Then go ahead, you go ahead and read that part.
I like that part. According to legend, Vlad Dracula. This is kind of sick because I actually saw this on the guy with Josh Gates because they talked about this.
No, that's fine, but I'm just saying.
According to legend, Vlad Dracula enjoyed dining, and this is supposed to be, as you call it, rumors, but sometimes rumors are
This
based
is
on facts
rumors.
too.
This was rumors, but some rumors are also based in fact.
He enjoyed dining. He usually enjoyed dining amongst his dying victims and dipping his bread in their blood. While those gory tales are true, is unknown. Right there it says it's unknown, yeah.
Yeah, it says whether
Many
those
people
gory-
believe
gory
these
trail-
stories sparked Stoker's imagination to create Count Dracula, who is also from Transylvania, sucked his victim's blood, and could be killed by impaling a stake into his heart.
No.
No.
The next paragraph is.
Now, but according to Dracula expert Elizabeth Miller, Stoker didn't base Count Dracula's life on Vlad Dracula. Nonetheless, the similarities between the two Draculas are intriguing.
They are intriguing because if if Stroker didn't base his character Count Dracula on Vlad the Impaler, then it's kind of interesting how they would be that similar to each other.
Now, remember what I said earlier, and this I said because I remembered it, and now here it is. Vampire superstition. Now, this is another theory or whatever, but this sounds more feasible, how it thrived in the Middle Ages, especially as the plague decimated entire towns.
Yep.
The disease often left behind bleeding mouth lesions on its victims, which to the uneducated was a sure sign of vampirism.
Yep.
You know, it was uncommon for anyone.
It wasn't uncommon.
It wasn't uncommon for anyone with unfamiliar physical or emotional illness to be labeled a vampire. Many researchers have pointed to the porphyria, a blood disorder that can cause severe blisters on the skin that expose to sunlight, as a disease that may have been linked to the vampire legend.
That's a possibility there too.
Now, here's the other kicker. This is kind of cool too, if you think about it.
Well, yeah.
Some symptoms of
Porphyria.
porphyria can be temporarily relieved by ingesting blood. Other diseases blamed for promoting the vampire myth include rabies and or goiter. I like this one though, the porphyria,
Yeah.
and the plague thing, you know, because it left the
Well,
lesions
yeah,
right here.
It left the lesions, making people see.
That looked like they got done drinking blood or something. When a suspected vampire died, their bodies were often disintegrated to search for signs of vampirism. In some cases, a stake was thrust through the corpse's heart to make sure they stayed dead. Other accounts described the decapitation.
And burning of the corpses of suspected vampires well into the 19th century. Now that was 19th century would have been 1800s.
Yeah. Now here's the one you were talking about earlier too.
Mercy Brown.
Mercy Brown may
reveal
rival.
Or may rival. Yeah. See, I can't even talk now.
Yeah. Tongue twisted, huh?
May rival Count Dracula as the most notorious vampire. Unlike Count Dracula, however, Mercy was a real person. She lived in Exeter, Rhode Island, and was the daughter of George Brown, a farmer. After George lost many family members, including Mercy, in the late 1800s, to tuberculosis, his community used Mercy as a scapegoat to explain their deaths. It was common at that time to blame several deaths in one family on the undead. The bodies of each dead family member were often exhumed and searched for signs of vampirism. When Mercy's body was exhumed and didn't display severe decay, not surprising since her body was placed in an above-ground vault during a New England winter.
So that would preserve.
That would preserve her. That would have froze the body.
Yeah.
And it would have stopped the composition.
Right.
So the townspeople accused her of being a vampire and making her family sick from her icy grave. They cut out her heart, burned it, then fed the ashes to her sick brother. Perhaps not surprisingly, he died shortly thereafter.
Yeah. That.
So that's kind of a brief history of
that's almost like a witch hunt
vampire stuff.
in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, and that could tie into some of the witch hunts that happened in that era too.
Right. Because that was going on in the late 1800s, 1700s as well, 1600s, just like this shit.
And then I got this.
But
one
here, I like this here. Although modern science has silenced the vampire fears of the past, people who call themselves vampires do exist.
Yes, they do.
They are normal seeming people who drink small amounts of blood in perhaps misguided effort to stay healthy. Communities of self-identified vampires can be found on the internet and in cities and towns around the world. To avoid rekindling vampire superstition, most modern vampires keep to themselves and typically conduct their feeding rituals, which include drinking the blood of willing donors in private. Some vampires don't ingest human blood, but claim to feed off the energy of others. Many state that if they don't feed regularly, they become agitated and or depressed. Vampires became mainstream after Dracula was published. Since then, Count Dracula's legendary persona has been the topic of many films, books, television shows. Given the fascination people have with all things horror, vampires, real or imagined, are likely to continue to inhabit the earth or for years to come. Yeah, there's also cults of them out there, vampire cults too.
They're not cults, they're covens.
Well, whatever, but you know,
Vampires and vampirisms are
Yeah, but-
covens like witches are covens.
do you remember?
They all band together, they stay together, some
Yeah,
of them
but-
live together, they eat together, they
Yeah, but some
fuck
of them,
together, they do everything
but
together.
there are some cults that believe they're vampires and they run themselves like a cult and they get busted and they end up in prison and the guy is sitting there even while they're in court. I remember this court case because I remember it going on. The guy swore up and down he was a vampire and all of this, and he had all these different followers with him and stuff like this. But it was a big fucking cult.
Right.
That's how big of a legend the vampire legend got, is that
Well,
it
it's not
actually
just that
created
either.
cults too.
You gotta realize too, whenever
You know, I call this
Hollywood
more
got
like
involved-
some people role playing that they're vampires.
no, think about
some
this,
of
okay?
them.
When Hollywood got involved, he had Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. Yeah.
Nosferatu. He was, I think, Lon Chaney played
Yeah,
that,
Lon Chaney.
that particular character.
Yeah, 1960
And he was
or
supposed to
50
be
something
he was
or whatever
supposed to
that
be
was.
the vampire before Dracula.
Yeah, he was kind of a bald-looking dude.
Yeah. More of a bat head and
Yeah.
stuff, you know, bald and
Pointier ears.
pointier ears, elongated chin with the
The
fangs.
fangs were more defined.
Yeah. So Hollywood has really upped and glamorized
Oh,
the
yeah.
vampire culture.
Oh yeah, not just Hollywood,
And-
but it's authors that write some of the
Well,
books.
yeah,
like,
some of the authors too, like Anne Rice. Anne Rice is one of my favorite authors when it comes to vampires and that.
What did she do?
She wrote Interview with a Vampire, which made into a movie,
Good movie.
which is actually a good movie. That one actually was very, very well done, and I appreciate the fact that they stuck to the storyline for the most part. And then she also wrote Lestat, the vampire Lestat.
What's that? Yeah, you
She
were telling
wrote
me of
Queen
that.
of the Damned.
Damned, yep.
Now I'm listing them in order. So you have Interview with the Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, Memnoch the Devil, Tale of the Body Thief. And I've read all 5 of those books, and they're awesome. It was just
Well, I don't read books.
really, really well done. Well, I told you I got them also on audio. If you want me to burn
That ain't gonna
CDs, I'll
help
burn
ya.
CDs for you so you
Forget
can
it.
listen to them.
No.
So, but in her books, you know, like I said, the Interview with the Vampire was a really good movie that they did, that they
I
transferred to book, or from book to screen. But the second one, Queen of the Damned, which is actually the 3rd book in the series, they tried to cram the Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned together, and I can't
put
believe,
two books into one movie.
yes, and I cannot, for the life of me, believe Anne Rice allowed this to happen, because she was supposedly overseeing some of this crap too.
Well, maybe she's
Because
somewhere-
what they did is they totally screwed that movie, the plot line, and everything that was in the books. They totally screwed it.
Well, maybe she didn't have total creative control because, you know, it goes from, all right, we're going to film the movie.
From authored, yeah, I know.
Then you
I know.
got a director cutting it, and then you got the final edit, you know, before it hits
But
the
the,
theaters. you
no,
know.
no. I'm talking about the screen, or the play, the script.
Yeah, well, that.
Okay, they had to have a script to go by,
Well, those
and they
get edited
fucked
and changed
that
all
up
the time
so
too
bad.
because the director is like, this isn't going to
Well,
work for
in
me,
that
or that's
movie,
not going to work.
in that
for me.
movie, what pisses me off about that one is in that movie, you have a lot of the interactions of Lestat and Akasha, who's the queen of vampires.
So
You
did
have a lot of interaction of Jesse, who's
did the same actor play Lestat?
no,
So they
no.
got a different actor. To
yeah,
play
Tom
Lestat.
Cruise didn't play Lestat.
Oh, that was stupid then too.
So,
that was. A
but the
bad
thing
mistake
is, you
as
know,
well.
Lestat in that one formed a band, which is he did in the book too. But what they also did is they did a small backstory of Lestat, which really they fucked up bad, because there's a character named Marius, Marius was a mentor to Lestat, but he never created. He was not the one who made Lestat the fledgling. Lestat became the fledgling from another character that was in the book, Magnus. Magnus was a 500-year-old vampire who had never made a fledgling. Now the thing is, now if in the way Anne Rice wrote these in her stories, if a vampire creates a fledgling and then destroys himself, every bit of the vampire's powers that he has gained over the years goes into the fledgling.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in the Vampire Lestat. When Magnus made him, he destroyed himself. He threw himself on a pyre and destroyed himself, leaving Lestat to learn on his own. That's why Lestat was so twisted.
So they kind of changed the storyline.
Oh, they changed the storyline in that movie so bad it doesn't make sense if you read the books.
Well, I didn't read
And I
it.
guarantee you, a lot of the different.
But Tom Cruise did a good job.
Well, I guarantee you a
playing
lot
a
of the different
vampire,
people that
a crazy
actually
vampire.
that actually are fans of Anne Rice's writing.
Well, there was a lot of
And seeing
criticism
that
about
probably
that movie and the Queen
really
of the Damn movie. There was
pissed
a
off.
lot more criticism about
Hey,
the Queen of the
Peanut
Damn
Gallery,
movie.
you're reading your book there instead of paying attention and seeing if anybody's asking questions.
They're not.
Well, they should. We answer questions too, you know. We also have a phone number if you want to call us. It's 920-744-7574.
Oh, he said that pretty well. Let's say give him a hand.
We'll even put you on the air if you want.
Oh, that'd be funny.
I got my phone right here.
I've been dying to put somebody on the air through the
Well, we
phone.
have two people that are actually watching, Robert Daly and Cindy Lou Laird.
Hi.
Sydney, what?
Cindy Lou Laird.
Cindy
Laird.
Sue Laird.
Sue.
Laird, or I don't
I
know.
thought you said Lou.
I don't know how
Cindy
she
Sue
pronounced
I
it.
thought you were going to say Cindy Lou who.
You better be careful.
Cindy
she might,
Lou.
she might call and just get you out.
Go
You better
for
be
it.
careful. I know who that is. She don't take
And
no.
she actually waved.
She don't take no shit from no one. She
And then
never
also
has.
now here I also looked up Vlad the Impaler
Yeah,
because I wanted to check that
I
out.
saw that. I saw. I
And,
had that
um,
picture
and-
up there for a while.
And it says here, published in 1897, the Bram Stoker's
Gothic
novel Dracula launched an entire genre of literature and film about vampires.
Oh
So
yeah.
that novel kind of kick-started everything.
Well, look how many vampire movies there are out there. I mean, let's go with one of the most recent
And
ones
then,
that's got all these women and teenage girls in
Now, no, check this out though.
They romanticized
So- no,
it in Twilight.
Just a second, check this out though, okay? So, taking on the last name Dracula.
Dracula.
Probably roll your R's a little bit. Dracula.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah. What's his
in
name?
Romania-
George Hamilton in that Saturday the 14th spoof.
Whatever. In Romanian, Dracul means dragon.
Right.
So taking on that persona as a Count Dracul, Vlad is basically saying he was a dragon, and of course you
thought he was invincible.
You heard us telling you the story of him, how
Sitting
he
there
would
Amongst
impale
impaled
his victims on wooden spikes and.
all around and in the middle of
See,
the
the thing
table, and
is,
he's
though,
sitting
he
there
would.
eating.
No, hang on though. That's all.
I know,
that's
but
not
still,
a
if you
proven
picture
fact.
that, I
That's
know
not
that-
a proven fact,
but
but
they
it also
still have,
says in that legend and rumor or whatever, it also says that occasionally he would reach his bread over and dip it in the blood of his enemies and eat it.
Yeah, right. He thought it made
So-
him stronger because
Yeah,
he's drinking
Yeah.
the blood of his or sopping up the blood of his enemies.
But also though, part of the legend which I haven't found on here and I have heard in the past is that he became the vampire by making a deal with the devil in order to get
I heard
back
that and saw
at
that
his-
somewhere too, and I haven't been
in
able
order
to
to
find
get
that
back
one.
at his enemies from the Ottoman Empire because they killed his wife and child.
Right. I
And he
remember.
wanted revenge.
Yeah.
And he made a deal with Satan in order to get his revenge.
I think that was on that episode of Josh Gates where I heard that.
It could have been.
Expedition
Could have been.
Unknown or Legendary. It was Legendary Places. That one that he does, it's Legendary Places
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And he went to the castle.
And
He's
that's
like,
the
we're
thing,
the
I mean-
Brahms. He called it Bram Stoker's castle because that's what they or something. But you know, he went.
It's Vlad the Impaler.
He went and explored a couple
Count
of
Dracula.
couple of places in Transylvania in that area, and there was like 2 castles that
And
he
yes,
went to.
people, Transylvania is a real province of Romania.
He actually went out there to Transylvania and a couple of places, and the one castle he went to, you could see that it looked like the stakes were still there, that they had like actual wooden stakes there, obviously not bodies on them, but they kind of had it looking like what it would be like with a table set up in the center, so that, you know, it was really fucked up and strange. And then they did their little CGI thing to kind of show what it would be like with their pictures or whatever they did, but it was kind of fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this would be the where he'd sit there and eat amongst the dead, his impaled victims.
Well, according to this, it wasn't just that. He would, though he didn't shy away from disembowelment, decapitation, or boiling or skinning his victims alive.
Right.
His preferred method was impalement, or driving a wooden stake through their bodies
and they were huge.
and leaving them to die of exposure.
They reminded me of those stakes. The ones that
Mhm.
they showed reminded me of those stakes. They were real sharpened at the end, but like the ones that they'd have sitting like this in a battlefield, like in the Braveheart movie.
And his
you know,
his
and they got
real
it on
name,
a rack.
Spears.
Yeah, but they were like on a rack so that if
Yeah,
they came
yeah.
in,
Those are
and
called
came
spears.
charging-
his real name was Vlad Tepes, Tepes.
yeah, but he became famous because of his brutal
His
tactics.
brutal tactics, yes.
Which I think a lot of that stuff is probably true. They just don't have 100% proof, so science isn't, and
Yeah.
history's not going to say that it's proof.
Well, no, it's not. They're not gonna.
I mean, some of
Really?
those stories are probably a bit exaggerated, you know, maybe, you know, who knows, but it might not have been a field of impaled bodies, but maybe 1 or 2, you know, or something.
No,
and then they got exaggerated
from the
throughout
legends.
years.
From the legends I heard, they were scattered all
I know,
over
but
around his castle.
But the real story could have only been like 1 or 2, and then you know how that gets exaggerated.
But he
As the
was
story
battling
goes
the
on,
Ottoman
I guess-
Empire. That
I know.
Ottoman Empire was big, dude.
Right, I get it, but just think about
And,
how
and if his
stories
castle,
can get
if his
exaggerated.
castle was in a position where he could actually defend it without them getting into it,
It was.
then
He
he
had
probably did well against them.
he had a pretty good tactical advantage because he was on top. The one castle was on top of like a hillside.
Yeah. It's
So
only one way
anything
up,
that
one way down.
yeah,
type of thing.
anything that came at him, he could see. He had open range all the way, you know, 360 degrees around that fucking castle.
Around the battlements.
There was no way you were going to get in without being seen.
Yep.
For miles.
Or without
I
him
mean,
inviting
he
you.
would have seen you coming for miles from his tactical
Well, I'm sure.
standpoint.
That's what I'm saying. You know, that's why I said that.
And that's saying a lot for back then when they probably had, you know, very small, little, tiny things to look through that were,
I don't know if they
even
had
had
spy
that
glasses
kind of
back
thing
then.
back then.
I don't know if
right.
they had spy
you know, I don't
glasses.
know
They
when
were
that
called spy
techno-
glasses.
Right. But I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
telescope, spy glasses, you know, it's been called a lot of things
Yeah,
over
you
the
take
years.
you take
but-
the bottom of a jar and the bottom of a smaller jar,
Right,
and you
but,
put
I
them
mean,
in. You
you
take
got
them
the,
and you roll
they
them
still
up in
got the
a.
height they could have seen for
You
miles
roll
if
them up
somebody
in a
was
piece
coming.
of leather and you hold them up like this.
Because if you see, you could see an army coming for miles with a blind eye if you get enough height.
I'm turning into a vampire. I'm trying to eat myself.
You know, if you get enough height, you can see a lot of it.
I know this. I know this.
So he had a great tactical advantage. You
So-
know, because I saw that whole footage more than once with Josh Gates going
Now-
out there,
now another
and more
thing-
people going out to that those castles. There's a couple
Yeah.
of them that they go out there to because of him.
Another thing that I liked about, or that I find fascinating too, is how Hollywood has really just they've so
Glamorized it.
glamorized it.
Yeah.
But one of their best works, one of Hollywood's best works of the vampire series or movies, I believe, is Underworld.
Yes.
Underworld is
Kate,
awesome.
what was her name? Kate?
Kate Beckinsale.
That's it.
Underworld
Awesome.
is really, really good. She played a character, Celine,
Right.
and she was.
Isn't there a new one?
She was a hunter.
Isn't there like a real new one that came out like this
There's
year, last year or
Underworld.
something?
There's Underworld.
I don't know. I know I don't have them all yet.
We have some of
There's
Like
them.
5 of them. There's 5 of them. There's Underworld, and there's the second one.
Well,
and
then I
there's
got
Rise,
4 out of the 5.
Rise of the Lycans, Awakening, and Bloodborne.
Yeah, I don't
Last
have
one's
that. I
Bloodborne.
don't have that one yet.
We'll go on Vudu and watch it.
Um,
I got it on
I'm
Vudu.
sorry, but the vampire series I like is the Twilight series.
yeah, you would.
Yeah, you like that
With
prissy
most
shit.
of the teenagers.
Because it's
You like the
romantic.
prissy- No, it's
It's
prissy shit.
it's romanticizing
No, it's
vampires.
prissy. It's prissy shit.
I still like it.
I don't care. It's
Vampires
prissy
are
shit.
supposed to be horror movies. You know, Blade was a good example.
Blade was a
of
good one, too.
I
Now,
see.
Blade
I'll
was
watch Blade. I like
Blade
Blade
was a
is-
good
Blade
example
was-
of a
Blade is
vampire
horrible,
movie.
actually.
Yeah, well, he was.
But-
They did a great job
And I
on
watch
that.
Underworld.
Hmm?
I'll watch.
Oh, Underworld's awesome.
I know.
And all 5
Yeah,
of them.
we're
are
the ones
those
who
really
aren't
good.
those aren't horror.
Werewolves are now
They're not
known
really
as
horror,
Lycans.
but
They're not
there's a
horror.
lot
Well,
of
he
action. There's a lot of killing. There's a
Well,
lot
he
of
just said
decap, a lot of
that
blood.
vampire movies are supposed to
A
be
lot of
horror
guts
movies.
spilling out everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I'll watch them
And then
as
you
long
got,
as they're
and
not
then, and then in
horror.
the underworld, you always got one of those vampires after feeding. You got a lot of
Yeah,
blood
blood.
around their
Yeah.
mouth, not this little
But
prissy
the
shit
thing
on
is, though,
Twilight.
and also
I'm
if
not
you
trying
watch,
to take away from
if you-
Twilight, but
Also, if you watch
Well, the thing is,
Twilight's
Twilight
like-
wasn't about vampires just going out
Twilight's
and
kind of
killing
like
people.
a vampire.
No, it was about a
werewolf
vampire. It was
chick
about a
flick.
vampire
Vampire
fucking
family.
a young girl and getting her
It was
pregnant.
about a vampire family
Fucking a human.
trying
Yeah, that's
to
what I said. A young girl.
live with the society.
Yeah, well,
In the meantime, yes, it was romantic because of Bella and
it was a
Edward
fucking
falling
vampire
in
chick
love.
flick.
Yeah, I know. It was a chick flick.
It was a fucking vampire werewolf chick flick.
Vampire werewolf chick
Are
flick.
you team? What is it? Team Edward or team what was it?
Jacob.
Jacob.
I'm
Remember that?
both.
Remember how big
You
that
can't
was?
be both. You
Yes,
can't be
you can
both.
be.
You
Yes,
gotta
you
go.
can be.
You cannot be both.
With the way
Yeah,
the
we got
ending was,
daughters,
you can
know
be.
you can't be both.
The
What
way
was-
the
what
ending
was
was,
your
yes, you
daughter?
can because
Ashley
Edward got
was Team
Bella.
Edward.
No. I
Jacob
never
got
asked
their
her.
daughter.
Well, I didn't have to ask Ashley. She had fucking posters and Edward shit all over her fucking bedroom when she was growing up.
How'd she
Whenever-
get Edward shit?
No,
Did
she also
follow
had
me around
Jacob.
with a bag?
She also did have Jacob.
Yeah, but she was Team Edward.
I'm both.
Here, reach
You
over.
can't be both. You have to pick. That's why they did it that way. You're either Team Edward or you're Team Jacob. And you don't know what your daughter was? You couldn't tell by
I
some of
never
the
asked
stuff
her.
she had? I didn't have to
I
ask
don't even know.
Ashley.
I don't even know if she actually even
I pay
really gave
attention
a
to
shit
her.
about the Twilight series because she was more into.
Yeah, she's more into
Underworld.
movies like we are. She
Kayla,
watched
Kayla's
Hellraiser
more.
with us.
Yes,
I
Kayla
like-
watch Hellraiser. She
Anyway.
watches The Ring. She watches Sinister.
What's this?
It's on Vudu. Watch it.
Is it a horror movie?
Yes, it's a horror movie.
She won't watch it.
She likes the Saw series.
I
wanna-
get
She won't even
nightmares.
watch
Kayla
Pet
likes the
Sematary.
Saw
Yes,
series.
I'm an adult,
where you
but I
gotta
get
cut your
nightmares
fucking
from
arm
horror
or leg off in
movies.
order to get away from
Alright.
the fucking kill
Vampire. Here, wait. We forgot to mention a classic vampire movie, The Lost Boys.
machine. Oh, The Lost Boys.
What?
That was good.
That
was good.
real good.
You know that one went to 3 different movies.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
3 different movies. I only know of Lost Boys, the
The
original.
first one, The Lost Boys, and then there was a second one that was made, and then they made the third one. They
Yeah.
actually made a third
And now
movie.
they're doing a remake.
Where the hell did you hear that?
Believe me.
They're gonna fuck that
You know,
up.
they were starting talks about remaking, here, get this, Back to the Future 4. However,
That's not a remake. That would be
they were going to
an
make
add-on.
an add-on to the trilogy.
Thank you.
However, that got immediate stop too, I think.
Well, yeah, because it's done with. I mean, Back to the Future
Well,
is done with.
I think that while Christopher Lloyd and who was it? Christopher Lloyd and somebody else. I think it was like a director or producer. They were on board to do it. But they were going to have one problem. Michael J. Fox is pretty bad off with his,
I know. His
Parkinson's disease. It would be awfully hard to film that and stay on budget. And they can't do that with like Michael J. Fox. So they might as well just
Pretty
leave
much.
it alone. And I hope nobody gets the idea to try to reboot that fucker.
Remake it? No. I think that one should go into the archives.
And stay that way.
And
Bring out 25th anniversary editions or whatever with deleted scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
interviews with the cast.
Scenes from it and stuff.
And interviews from the cast.
That should go into the archives and be labeled "Do Not Touch."
Yeah. Because you know them Hollywood
Because
jerks,
you know what they
won't
did.
fucking
You know what
listen.
they did. You know what they did with Chips. You know what they did
fucked
with
Chips.
21
They
and
fucked
Jump
up
Street.
21 Jump Street. They fucked up Chips.
Mhm.
Yeah. They fucked up a lot of them, you know, TV shows made into movies. All right, now
Now we're gonna go to Mafia,
because
right?
well,
Or we're still on this.
let's talk about this. They got to hire because we're gonna do like the little thing what makes them similar. According to like some of the vampire movies, say Blade or the TV series Kindred, for example,
Well, that's what I said.
they have a hierarchy.
covenant, and they have a hierarchy. They have
you have like a
they
head
have
godfather,
a head leading vampire,
and I liked. Here's
and
what
they
I liked
have
about
the henchmen below.
right. But
And
I also like
you also have hang on. You also have your fledglings and your familiars.
yeah, but
now,
here
your
they had
familiars-
something totally different. Remember? They had
The familiars-
Nostru family. They had different families, and it was set up more like a mafia style because you had the prince of the city.
That's because you got the kindred. That's like again what I say. You know, they take and they
They romanticized it a little bit.
Not just
to make it a TV
romanticized
series.
it. They glamorized it.
But it was
you
good.
know, I'm not debating that it's good or whatever.
It was a good series. I got hooked on it. I was
Because
pissed when
Underworld
they
did
ended it.
similar. Underworld had the different factions.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you had the different factions of the families,
But their
and the
faction-
families, the way you got brought into the family, you had to be a fledgling that was chosen, and then you had to prove yourself.
But their families in this one had different jobs too, like the Nostru.
And the way that Blade was
hid
done,
underground in the sewers.
and the way that Blade was done, they had the
different-
familiars.
right, the
The familiars were the ones that the fledglings and the others fed on,
Yeah, familiars
but
were
didn't
also
kill them.
right. They were
And
wannabe
they were the
vampires.
ones that wanted to
humans,
become vampires.
that wanted to be.
And they had to prove themselves within the faction
loyalty. They had to
in
prove their
order-
loyalty to the vampires.
in order to be considered a
That's like
fledgling
the one
to be
cop
turned.
that was going after that one woman that Blade rescued, you know, in the first movie. And when the cop shows up, he was a fucking familiar. There was a tattoo on his wrist. You know, I liked Blade, that movie. They cast that.
They did
one
pretty well with Blade, and Blade's Marvel actually, so
Yeah.
that's in the Marvel universe. But
Yeah, I'd
but
like
yeah,
to see
so
that. I'd like to see that as another.
so with some of
movie
these,
or
the way that
something.
they did them, you know, with like Underworld,
They
because
showed
Underworld did too.
they
They
took
had the
their-
different factions. They had the heads of the families that would come and meet with the different
Right.
leadership. Now the thing is, in Underworld, they had 3 different leaders. You had Marcus. You had
Well, we don't have to go into the
anyway,
leaders, but
you
it's
had the different leaders, and they were the main originals.
like if you had the
Okay.
prince of the city or the whatever they called the main leader of the families, okay, because you always had a top boss. Nothing, and this is kind of cool because you know this is where it's going to make sense. Nothing could get by in that city or that town or whatever that head vampire controlled without his knowledge or his okay.
Yep.
So if you wanted to go and say, I'm going to go feed
Yeah.
over here or something like that as a vampire, or I wanted to take over this district, you had to have his approval first or his blessing first, you know, or something. And if you didn't get it, swift punishment happened.
Yep.
Right?
Most likely.
In the
you
vampire
were-
world,
you were
you're like,
gone.
you know, dead. They just rip your head right off or whatever. You know, it's vicious, okay?
Very.
And cold. Now, here's where the tie-in stuff. You got a godfather of a city. Now we're going to talk to the mafia. This is where it goes.
Okay,
on
now
over
we'll
and
go.
transition.
Now we'll transition to
The mafia. Because now in a city where a godfather controls something, nothing gets by him in that city. You can't go and start muscling in on this business or that business and saying we want protection money from here or racketeering business or that without his approval and his blessing. And you had to, and once you asked him for that favor, boy, you better make sure you come the minute that motherfucker calls, or swift justice.
Right.
You do something he don't want you to do, swift justice.
Do you want a brief history of Mafia?
You can do a brief history.
This is origins of the Mafia.
Right, we started in Sicily.
Now, the origins of the Mafia, the Mafia, a network of organized crime groups based in Italy and America, evolved over centuries in Sicily, an island ruled until the mid-19th century by a long line of foreign invaders. Sicilians band together in groups to protect themselves and carry out their own justice. In Sicily, the term mafioso, or the mafia member, initially had no criminal connotations and was used
connections, basically.
And was used to refer to a person who was suspicious of central authority. By the 19th century, some of these groups emerged as private armies or mafia.
They started out basically as their own lawmen on Sicily.
Who extorted protection money from landowners and eventually became the violent criminal organization known today as the Sicilian Mafia. The American Mafia, which rose to power in the 20s, is a separate entity from the Mafia in Italy, although they share such traditions as omerta, a code of conduct and loyalty.
Yeah, and there are some family ties to some Italy.
Well, the way that the Mafia became in America is because you have Italians who
immigrated
over
Sicily.
here. Some from Sicily, some from mainland Italy, and everything else.
Right, and it started in New York.
And that's
because they all
in New York.
They all landed at Ellis Island. Most of them came to Ellis Island. You could look up some of the most famous. There's like let's see, what is it? The top. I mean, I'm gonna look it up.
Here.
You got it?
I got Mafia in the United States as well.
Okay.
Now the Mafia, the American Mafia, an Italian-American organization, organized crime network with operations in cities across the United States, particularly New York and Chicago, rose to power through its success in the illicit liquor trade during the 20s Prohibition era. After Prohibition, the Mafia moved into other criminal ventures, from drug trafficking to illegal gambling, while also infiltrating labor unions and legitimate businesses such as construction and New York's garment industry. The Mafia's violent crime, secret rituals, and notorious characters such as Al Capone and John Gotti have fascinated the public and became a part of popular culture. During the later part of the 20th century, the government used anti-racketeering laws to convict high-ranking mobsters and weaken the Mafia. However, it remains in business today.
Oh yeah, it does.
Now, you also got to remember, it wasn't just New York and Chicago. When you got Bugsy Siegel is one of the Mafia,
but here, let me get
low ends, and he took it out to Vegas.
Right, but before we start too far and straying too far away from the New York coast and the Chicago area, we gotta you gotta before you finish talking about the hierarchy, you gotta talk about the big hierarchy of this. There is in the United States. Okay, and they're most of them are out of New York. There's only 5 families, 5 mafia families. And those 5 mafia families are the highest up on the anarchy. Alright? And they're like, here they are, and I should be able to pronounce most of these, but I can't. But the original was the Bono family, the Colombo family, the Gambino family, the Genovese family, and the Lughisi family. You know, Now these,
Desi.
right? These this first part of these names are probably the current person.
Maranzano.
Right, is probably the current
Move
ones
your
in charge. All right,
Profasi.
but the originals
Mandani?
are these names here.
Luciano.
And the Gambino family is the one that was at the top of the list towards the end.
Gaglione.
During the 70s, the Gambino family was the most violent of them.
Yeah.
All right? And
They're the ones you hear about most.
Right. The Gambino family and the Colombo family are the one, and Genovese. They're the ones, but the Gambino family, if I'm not mistaken, they were, they were the ones that originated out of New York, and they were the Sicilian mafia gangs. Okay. These are the ones that everybody had to listen to, were these 5 families. And each boss, whoever was the top family, that head of that family was the godfather. And then you had the generals underneath, which was the head of each other, the other families. And then, of course, you could go down the line and you got made men and so on and so forth.
And if you worked your way up the chain and you became accepted into the family, brought into the fold, you had to pledge loyalty.
Right.
Literal loyalty.
Yeah. See?
And if you ever crossed any one of them, any one of the higher ups, you were done.
There's your Lucky Luciano. Charles
Lucky Luciano.
He was part of one of those 5 families, the original 5 families, And see, right now, there's only 3 bosses from the 5 families. See, 2 of them don't have
Yeah, you know what their
bosses
motto
currently.
was?
Their acting boss. Oh, no, there's 2. Oh, they all got 5. Okay, there's...
You know what their motto was? Let's see it. Let me go back here. Cosa Nostra. Cosa Nostra? Do you know that? It's Italian for our thing.
I've heard it before, but I never knew what it meant. Okay.
So basically, they were using that and everything to distinguish themselves as separate from the Sicilian mafia.
But all the families,
But they all did the same thing.
as time went on, they probably branched out from these, and then you got Al Capone in Chicago. He was like the boss.
Well, Al Capone started out as a fucking little snot-nosed runner.
Yeah, but he ended up head of Chicago.
Well, because he impressed people. He impressed the
And he was,
Don.
if I'm not mistaken, he was responsible for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. The original, not the one that happened this year.
No, that's.
But the original, the Mafia hit that happened on Valentine's Day, Al Capone ordered that hit. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, it happened in Chicago.
Well, yeah. In fact, there was a song written about it.
Yeah.
There was a song that was written
Now,
about it.
here in Wisconsin, we also had the Mafia.
We had the Mafia here too. Yes, I know.
All right. And
they were based out of Milwaukee.
they were based out of Milwaukee, and that family was the Ballesteri family. And that was by Mr. Big, Frank Ballesteri. Or Frank Mr. Big Ballesteri. Yeah. And, yeah, here he is, right here. He was a Milwaukee crime family which owed allegiance to a powerful Chicago. He had tie-ins to Al Capone, Dillinger.
Well, you would think Dillinger, because Dillinger has a place here in
Dillinger was
up
part of
north
Al
and
Capone's.
up by Manitowoc.
Right. But see, Dillinger, Al Capone, and all of them, they used to come up to that hideout and stuff like this
I
up
know
here.
that.
There's quite a, Wisconsin's got quite a mafia history. Madison was a Greenbush neighborhood, which was full of Italians.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you think that their mafia wasn't in Madison, you're sadly fucking
they were
mistaken, people.
They were there.
Believe me, I know firsthand. I I worked for a restaurant back in the day, a
Oh,
long
you're
time
good.
ago, called Namio's. Okay? Or, yeah, Namio's Supper Club.
You better be careful telling your story and getting out there.
Yeah, well, I don't give a shit at this time because it's not anything that's gonna get me into trouble. But the restaurant don't exist anymore. I don't think so because the guys. But anyway, the guy that owned the place was really old. Okay, and he was a true Italian because if you listen to the guy speak, he had a heavy accent. But I was working for him, and when I stopped working for him, I worked at Taco Bell, and I'm walking home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, this was a supper club, like a steakhouse supper club, and there's limousines outside at 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's people with glasses on, dark suits and glasses, and they're standing there outside by the limousines. Now, you tell me what that was. And the steakhouse name was
They were
Namio's.
having an after-wedding party. What the hell are you talking
They
about?
weren't having no after the wedding party. There was
Oh,
only
come
two.
on.
That parking lot was empty except for those 2 limos.
They were having a mafia meeting.
No.
And the rest of my stories
No.
about the mafia and my personal experiences with meeting some of these people, they keep to myself.
Mhm.
I will keep my mouth
You
shut.
should.
You know. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be part of them either. Only one way out, and that's a fact.
Well, yeah. that is-
6 feet
that
in the
is a fact.
ground.
Oh yeah, you either die naturally, and you take everything to the
You
grave with
either
you.
You retire, and everything stays with you,
And you disappear.
die, or
Yeah, you
or
disappear,
you
change your
literally
name,
fucking
whatever.
disappear.
But you have to be extremely loyal.
And they never find the body.
Yeah, but if they suspect you of one fucking whisper, believe me, I got
Well,
a feeling.
According to this here, the American Mafia gets organized. That's the,
All right,
that's
let's
the
go
heading,
about it.
okay?
That's a history.
In the late 20s, a bloody power struggle known as the Castellum Mares
Tease. War.
Mares
Or whatever.
War broke out between New York City's 2 biggest Italian-American crime and criminal gangs. In 31, after the faction led by Sicilian-born crime boss Salvatore Maranzano came out on top, he crowned himself Capo di tutti
Boss of all
capi,
bosses.
or boss of all bosses. In New York,
Basically,
yeah, that was in
Godfather.
New York. Unhappy with Maranzano's power grab, a rising mobster named Lucky Luciano
Oh,
had
yeah.
him murdered the same year.
Well,
Luciano
that's kind of another
then
similitude.
masterminded the formation of a central organization called the Commission to serve as a sort of
All right.
national board of directors for the American Mafia.
Now there's another quick little piece. How would a vampire take out the head? Yeah. How would? All right. You had the head vampire up here on the top,
Yeah.
like Godfather of all vampires. How does he lose his title? Usually by another vampire killing him to take his
Yeah,
place.
but you gotta watch that. So
Well, yeah,
see,
you gotta watch
in
it
the-
no matter
in
what
the-
you do.
no,
Either
no,
way,
no. But see, in the vampire legends,
it's
Um,
against
no.
their laws to
in
kill
the
another
vampire
vampire.
legends, if a lower vampire or any vampire takes out the head boss vampire, who is the source of the vampire's bloodline,
Yeah,
everybody dies. There's a difference.
sometimes, but you know, in the movies they don't really put that part in there. All
Yeah,
the
they
time.
did.
Not
Yeah,
all
they
of
did.
them. But if you wanted to take out the head of a family or something like that, that's what they did. You know, he's not doing his job or he's not being vicious enough. You know, we're going to take him out.
Now, where
Well,
you,
that's how
where you made
violent
me,
they were
where you
back
made me
there.
stop here, you know,
All right,
the
keep
American
going.
Mafia, which by then consisted of at least 20 crime families across the country. New York, which had become America's organized crime capital, had been divided into 5 main mafia families.
That's what I was just telling you.
Everywhere else the mafia operated, there was just one crime family per city. The commission's role was to set policies and mediate disagreements among the families.
Yeah,
Each
that's
of the
what those
five New York families received a vote on the commission when it was established,
It worked
while
like
the
a board
heads of the
directors.
families in Chicago and Buffalo also got one vote each.
Yep. They worked like a board of directors.
And here is the U.S. Mafia hierarchy and rituals.
Yeah, it was very hard for them. That's why it was hard for the FBI to take down the mafia, because they were so organized.
Yeah.
That's why it's called organized crime, of
Well, that
course.
was-
But
that
they
was,
they were the
Luciano.
one.
Luciano was
Well,
the one that got
That's
him
what
organized.
this is what some of your modern day gangs and bikers modeled themselves after.
Oh, yeah,
So their
of course.
hierarchy was the mafia,
Yes, that's,
and their hierarchy
that's
and their
because of the way
loyalty.
they are.
Their loyalty to blood, you know. It's
Now, you
like
want me
look
to-
at bikers'
you want me to read
loyalty.
any of this,
Keep
or-
going.
Okay. Typically, each American mafia crime family was organized around a hierarchy headed by a boss, who ruled with unquestioned authority and received a cut of every money-making operation taken on by any member of his family. Second in command was the underboss, and below him were the capos,
Or captains.
capos, or captains,
Right.
who each controlled a crew of 10 or so soldiers, men who had been made or inducted into the family.
Right.
And that's okay. When you became a made man, you were a part
You were
of
on
the
call
family.
24/7.
But you were considered family at that point.
Right, but you were also on
And it
call
took a
24/7.
lot to become a made man
Yeah,
for
'cause
these
to
guys.
get there, you had to make them money first.
Not just that.
Prove that you can make
No,
money.
no,
and be
no, no, no,
loyal.
no. It wasn't just that. You had to show loyalty.
That's what I
Loyalty
said.
was first. They didn't give a shit if you fucking went and rolled 500 people and took $1,000 off of each other of them and took it into the boss.
No, what I
They give a shit if you were a fucking loyal person.
Well, no, what I meant by making money for them is not going out and stealing money. They wanted you to prove that you can keep generating a good sized income. Plus, you had to prove your loyalty because they would give you tests. And if you failed one of these tests or said no, you already knew too much, brother. You're going to get fitted for a pair of cement shoes, you know, and you're going to disappear in a hurry.
Each family also had a consigliere who acted as an advisor. Consigliere who acted as an advisor and ombudsman. Damn, some words over my head.
Well, that's concierge, like a hotel. What do they call it?
Concierge.
Concierge. That's what that is.
Okay, well, anyway. At the bottom of the chain were associates, people who worked for or did business
Yeah, it
with
was
the
an
family,
associate that you were on 27.
weren't full-fledged members.
The minute you
Okay.
got a phone call, you better be there when they told you to be wherever. Doesn't matter what time of night it is. That's what associate's job was to do.
That's
They were
exactly right.
They were a monkey.
That was like the
pig.
Iceman.
Yeah.
The
No,
Richard.
he was an assassin. He was like
He was an associate. He was an associate.
Yeah, but he
he
was a
never
paid-for-hire hitman.
he never pledged full loyalty
No,
to
because he didn't
one
want to.
boss or one family.
No, 'cause he
worked
made more
for all
money.
of them.
He made more
and
money the way he
he
did.
stayed as an associate, and if one of them actually said, "I want you to take out the guy
Another
you
one.
just worked for," he'd go do it.
Right, because he was a cold heart. That's why he
That's
called him.
why him. They called him the Iceman because he
Killed
he got
somebody
it
with an ice pick.
Nope,
Wasn't it?
nope. He got the name Iceman because he would occasionally, when he'd kill someone,
He'd put him
he'd
on
put him in a
ice.
freezer
Yeah, he'd put him on ice.
and then dump the body
and then dump
afterwards.
the body like months later. So that
months
they
and
couldn't-
years later.
Yeah, so they couldn't determine the exact date of death or cause. You know, yeah, it'd fuck up
Time of
everything.
death, date of death.
That's why it took so long before he got
Now,
caught.
becoming an official member of a mafia family traditionally involved an initiation ceremony in which a person performed such rituals as pricking his finger to draw blood and holding a burning picture of a patron saint while taking an oath of loyalty. Italian heritage was a prerequisite for every indictee or inductee. Although some crime families require such lineage only from the father's side, and men often, though not always, had to commit a murder before they could be made.
Yep.
Becoming a member of the mafia was meant to be a lifetime commitment, and each mafiosi swore to obey omerta, the all-important code of loyalty and silence.
Yep.
Mafiosi were also expected to follow other rules, including never assaulting one another
And never to anybody above
never
you.
cheating with another member's girlfriend or wife.
Right.
That was bad.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you didn't mess with anybody. You know, if you had somebody that was above you in the hierarchy, like let's say you're just a made man, and you start fooling with the godfather of your family's daughter. Oh, that was a bad thing too, because he may not like that. You know, because they were very protective over the women.
Oh, very, yes.
And that was instant. You know, if you fuck them in any way.
You could fuck around on your wife and your
Oh
girlfriend.
yeah, you could cheat on them all you
as
want.
long as it wasn't with another mafia's wife or girlfriend.
Exactly. Exactly. They didn't give a shit. You know, you could. They had things where they had.
There
some
are
of
a
those
few
guys,
movies.
Some of those guys you'd see in some of the movies too, where the guy would come home. And he's got some of the mafia with him because, you know, sometimes they don't always travel alone because they're out on a job and they're getting ready to do something. And his wife doesn't do something he wants and he's slapping her around and stuff like this. And that was perfectly okay back then with the mafia as well.
Uh-huh.
But it was always the husband or the boyfriend. You know, you couldn't slap around another guy's woman either, because you did that. You were going to get, you know, beat within an inch of your life, if not dead.
Or lose a finger, or lose a...
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, Hollywood had done a couple of movies pretty decently for the mafia and stuff.
Oh, they've done a lot of good movies, and then a few funny ones.
Now, the one I really like, Goodfellas.
Goodfellas?
Goodfellas.
Joe
Pesci and Joe Pesci was a fucktard in that one.
Joe Pesci makes a good
he's a good
mafia person. He's been in a few movies playing a mafia type person.
But he was a fucktard in that one. The other guy too, I can't remember his name right now. I'll give you.
I don't know. I like The Godfather. It's a classic. I mean, Marlon Brando playing The Godfather, Al Pacino in there,
and yeah, you do have Al Pacino and everything.
And this isn't mafia, but it is kind of mafia in a way, because he wasn't Italian in this movie, okay? But there are other mafias like the Irish Mafia and so on and so forth, okay?
Ray Liotta was in that movie too.
Yes, Ray Liotta.
Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro was in that movie.
Yeah, they all play good Italians.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, Carlito's Way.
Carlito's Way.
I mean, he was Puerto
good.
Rican in that movie, but still, it had a mafia style to it. You know, and Al Pacino was he's a great actor.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, he is. He is a very, very great actor.
You know, but.
And then you had, was it?
But
what was the one about John Dillinger? That Johnny Depp played Dillinger. Was that Enemy of the State?
I think so, yeah. But I want to get to one of my favorite actors of all time. He played a comedy. All right, did a comedy of a kind of a mafia spoof, kind of making fun of the mafia. Okay, and the movie took place set back in Al Capone's days, you know, the 30s, the 20s, and the 30s. And it starred Michael Keaton. And his name in the movie, and the name of the movie, was Johnny Dangerously.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
No, it wasn't Enemy of the State.
Johnny Dangerously.
Yes, I remember that one.
I love that movie.
How about one with...
I liked where they were going around, they were changing cars, you know, and all of a sudden there was a duck pattern. A little rubber duck pattern on the car. There's a lot of good mafia movies out there, but the classic that's always going to stay strong and won awards was Godfather. I mean, it had a lot of star power, and it was true to the core, and a lot of the Italian families themselves will tell you it was true to what really, you know, what it was really like. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't have picked a better actor to play the Godfather, you know, in Marlon Brando at that time.
No, yeah, he did an awesome.
You know,
awesome job.
and I mean, you had what's her name, Rocky's wife,
Oh,
The
I know what you're
actress-
talking about. We can't.
the actress that played Rocky's wife, was she was in there too in the Godfather movies as well.
Can't
Kelly
remember.
Shire or something like that. I'll look it up.
But anyway, I'm trying to find this one. Just keep going with your spew there. We don't need dead air. Public Enemies. That's the one. About John Dillinger.
John Dillinger,
Yeah, Public Enemies. That was the one I was trying to think of, and that one was really well done too. Now that one depicted in that the place up by Manitowoc that they would always go to.
Yeah. There's quite a few. There's an actual mafia tour in Wisconsin that'll take you on a little road trip to a lot of these hot spots where Al Capone had his hideout. Dillinger would supposedly they had a meeting up in this other place, and so
Well,
on
didn't
and so
Dillinger
forth.
and Capone work together a
Yes,
couple of times?
right. But you know, I mean, it was kind of funny. You see, what's his name, Geraldo Rivera, trying to dig for Al Capone's lost fortune and coming up fucking empty every time he turns around.
Empty-handed.
But in Milwaukee, and I'd like to go there. There's an actual Milwaukee Mafia Museum. I didn't know that, did you?
No.
Yeah, when I was kind of doing the search about the Ballesteri family and Frank Ballesteri and his sons and all of that, and you know how all of that happened. And when I was doing that, and I did the search, it came up, you know, Milwaukee Mafia Milwaukee Museum, you know.
Interesting. I did
And
not
they
know
had an
that.
official website. I didn't look up where it was or anything, but I am going to one of these days because I want to take a road trip. It's only an hour away, and it'd be kind of cool. You know, who knows? I might find my family name down there somewhere. That would be kind of scary.
Caravello.
You know,
You
or
never
somebody
know.
that I know I'm related to for sure. You know. You know, but yeah, they are very organized, and if you think that they're gone, they're not. They're still around today.
Yeah, but they're not as
Powerful as they used to be. I mean, in the 70s and the 60s and 20s
They're more
and
low
30s,
profile.
before they got that major bust, before the major bust started, the FBI started cracking down on them the most in the 70s and got a big hit in the 80s. Before all of that, you know, they had a lot, you know, prior to the 70s, they had a lot of politicians, a lot of cops, a lot of prison guards.
Here's another
I
good
mean,
one.
it got to a point where the mafia, the reason they had a hard
Oh,
time,
good.
I'm trying to set this as a different background because somehow it's,
Nice, showing them. Okay, here's another one that I liked that Hollywood did. The Untouchables
right.
with Kevin Costner.
Isn't The Untouchables about Elliot Ness
Yes.
and how he went?
Costner played the role of
Right.
Ness.
But was Elliot Ness a real person?
Yeah.
And
Pretty
the
sure.
Untouchables really existed, you think? Or was that like based on Hoover and his, you know, when Hoover took over the FBI and was going after
The
the
Untouchables is an
mafia?
'87 American crime drama film directed by Brian De Palma and written by David Merrick. Based on the book The Untouchables, the film starred Kevin Costner as government agent Elliot Ness. It also stars Robert De Niro as gang leader Al Capone and Sean Connery as Irish-American officer Jimmy Malone. The film follows Ness's autobiography account of the
Taking
efforts
down Al
of
Capone.
him as his untouchables to bring Capone to justice during Prohibition. The Grammy Award-winning score was composed by...
It doesn't matter,
Doesn't
but
matter.
anyway.
The Untouchables was released
There was a B movie. Did you see this one a long time ago? Because there was a B movie. You know what I mean by B movie. And it was called The Lost Capone. Did you ever see that one?
no.
It had Eric Roberts playing Al Capone in that movie, and it was really good. And it was more of a movie documentary all the way up until his death, and how now this I didn't know. Did you know this? The reason it's called The Lost Capone is because one of the what do they call them, district attorneys that was going after Al Capone was his brother, and he changed his name.
Was Capone's brother?
Was Capone's brother.
Wow.
All right, and the whole thing went right up until the day that Al Capone died in the sanitarium that he was in because he had syphilis on the brain. So that's what he died of.
Wow.
Did you know that? That he died of syphilis on the brain?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He died an old man in a sanitarium type hospital. But his brother, according to this documentary type movie, his brother was the one that busted him in the long run. And the funny thing about this was Al Capone paid for his brother to go to law school.
Okay. That is funny.
You know, and see, that's why Johnny Dangerously had that similar thing. Johnny Dangerously was supposed to be Al Capone, and you know, in that
and he
movie,
paid for his brother to go to law school.
See, so it was kind of a movie making fun of Al Capone and his
As a spoof on a spoof.
right. But that Lost Capone movie, if you can ever find it somewhere, it's called The Lost Capone. It stars Eric Roberts
As Capone.
as Capone. All right, it's a really good movie. You know, it was like one of those ones that didn't make it to the box office. It was like a made-for-TV or HBO or some crap like that.
Yeah.
But it turned out really good. But it was kind of a documentary, and kind of, I'm sure it was embellished a bit, like most things Hollywood do. You know. But anyway, yeah. It's just too bad a lot of families and a lot of things aren't as loyal as the mafia families are, you know what I mean? Kinda sucks that the world has gone to hell. They could take a couple lessons from the mafia in that aspect. But are we gonna end this with some trivia or something, or is she gonna sit there and read a book and ignore everything? We could, God only knows how many questions or comments could be.
There aren't
made if she's
any.
missing.
There ain't any.
There ain't
There
any.
aren't any.
There aren't any. There ain't any.
I even put up there, please feel free to ask questions or make comments. You can even call the show phone number, and I put the phone number up there.
Nobody watching anymore?
So, have you guys finished about Vampires and Mafia?
I don't know. Are you paying attention?
I think so.
What about
I don't
your
know.
ending spiel?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the website, the affiliate
Well,
Oh, you're doing a good
program,
job. You can do it.
You know what?
Podcast
I'm gonna
awards.
piss you off.
All right. Piss me off.
donating.
Piss you off. You ready?
Piss you off, you fucking jerk.
I'm gonna piss you off, you fucking jerk. You
I'm gonna
ready?
call you a fucking jerk.
You ready?
All right. What are you gonna do?
Alright. This is gonna be in the video. I am going to break from what we said we would never do because it's important. Yes. Our country right now is in dire straits because
Alright.
we have a fucking orange orangutan up in the goddamn
Okay,
White
hold on,
House.
hold on.
No, listen to me. You got an orange orangutan in the White House who's trying to be and this is a tie-in with what we were just talking about. He's trying to be a fucking mob boss, Don. And the funny thing is, his name is Don. He's trying to run it just like a fucking mob country. Yes, he is.
I don't think he's comparable to the mafia. At least cared. Like, all right, here's the
They at
difference.
least cared about the country.
But here's the thing.
Wait, the
He's
mafia
trying
cared
to
about
run
the
it that
neighborhood.
way.
Yeah, but he can't because
So we need to get out there. We need to make sure we vote this year.
he's trying
Everybody
to be more
needs
like
to
a
vote,
dictator.
and we need to go blue, no matter who. Because if we don't put a check on that motherfucker, you're gonna lose your goddamn democracy. You're gonna lose your freedoms, and you're gonna wind up having an oligarch in the White House who's gonna also be a fucking dictator. This country's gonna turn into an oligarchy, and that is gonna be a motherfucking
I
dictator.
guess we gotta do wake the fuck up again, huh?
So
and on
wake
that
the fuck
note,
up, people.
And on that note,
I guess
August
we're gonna do a
14th
bonus
is
show.
preliminaries. We
Hold
need
on.
to get Scott Walker out of
Hold
the
on,
governorship.
stop. Let's do our little spew here. Stop the camera, and we'll do a bonus show and call it the Wake the Fuck Up bonus episode. You know, we haven't done one in a while, and
But
I
this
wanted
one- but
to do
this
that
one's not-
because
but that's
we were
not
doing,
gonna be
no,
live.
listen, we were doing things on Mafia,
Yeah,
and
and
he's
you're-
acting like a fucking
you're
Mafia boss or
full of
trying to.
You're full of a big rant, so let's rant, okay? Let's have a Wake the Fuck Up bonus episode quick.
Which is not going to be
Okay,
live.
so
That's the only
it
problem.
don't have to be
It
live.
doesn't have to be live. We can.
So
have it.
www.utterlyinsanemj.com. That's our website. You'll find our YouTube channel link there. You'll find some of our recent shows there. You'll also please register. It's free. Register for the Podcast Awards show. Register to vote there. Register to
They have
vote.
3 days.
And you got 3 or 4, yeah, whatever.
3 days.
3 days to vote. Get your votes in now before the primaries, and hopefully we can end the, or not primary, yeah, whatever.
See how
Made him put his mind on it. Yes.
All right, so that they can get, so that we get into the finals.
Yes, if we can. Yes, definitely.
I mean, it's just an honor to be part of it. Okay.
Also, we have the Amazon.
And yeah, if you're gonna buy from Amazon, please follow the link on our website first. And,
That's our
and
affiliate
go to
program.
Amazon.com so that we get a little bit of a kickback to help us bring you a better
Actually,
show.
what will happen there is Amazon will build it up, and then whenever we get enough, we can actually get a gift card from Amazon and actually get some better equipment.
Yeah, we get a
and then we also
10%
have Geek
kickback from
Buying.
anything you buy.
Geekbuying
Geekbuying.com.
is another one that's an affiliate
You
program
want
that we
cell
have.
phones and stuff like that? They've got a lot of great shit there too. All right, and if you just feel generous and you like our show,
Like our show, want us to continue, get
And
a little
wanna
better
keep
with
us
things,
going
get
strong.
better equipment.
we got a PayPal donate button. Anything helps.
Yep,
Please, just help us out. We'll bring a better show to you and have a lot more fun. Now,
at least try.
stay tuned. And the next thing you'll see is we'll have a bonus show uploaded.
We're gonna do a bonus show after this
A
because
little
of my
rant
little
called Wake the
rant.
Fuck Up. And we're going to do that as a bonus episode.
Because I'm breaking from our let's not
Rules.
do this.
So you're going to see this on youtube.com. Okay? Under our Utterly Insane channel.
You should be able to actually post it on Facebook as well.
I will too. I'll post it there too. But
Okay.
you'll be able to find it. And it'll be up probably tomorrow or Monday. So you'll be able to see that one. So, and you'll see more of Mark's rant that he had at the end of this one.
Hey, I'm sorry, but I've been holding it in.
Yeah, it's
I
been
have
building
holding
up
it in.
for both of us for
and it's
a
getting
while.
close, at least for just the ones that are being voted in this year. It's getting really
right.
close.
Stop
So-
that and stop the Facebook. Thank you
Remember,
for watching.
thank you for watching us. Hope you enjoy us.
www.utterlyinsanemj.com. Please
Comments,
visit, find all your
questions.
links, and vote for our next poll for next week's
Yep.
show too.
Feel free to leave feedback for comments and
Comments on
questions.
the graffiti wall. Email us. Our email addresses are there.
By the way, Lisa said you misspelled graffiti wall.
That's the way it's been spelt forever.
No, she said you misspelled it.
Whatever.
Okay.
All right, thanks again. See you later.
Bye.
But that's the way it's been spelled. That's the way it's spelled in the graphics too.
Kill it. I'm sorry, it has been building